What a wonderful. Welcome to this podcast, to this program. I'm so happy to have you with us. And today I have a very special guest that happens to be my husband. And his name is Uyobong Benjamin Etuk. Most people know him as Pastor Benjamin. Welcome to this podcast. Welcome to this program. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for honoring this invitation. And well, as you know, the main purpose of this program is to encourage and motivate people with stories or testimonies of people that have been through different situations in life and they have been able to overcome, and now they're here and we can call them resilient people. Many times we see a person, maybe they're successful, maybe their life is okay for what we can see with our own eyes, but we don't know where they're coming from or what they have been through. And then when we hear their stories, we are inspired and we can relate sometimes with what they're saying and say, you know what? If he could overcome this, I can overcome whatever I'm passing through, of course, with the help of the Lord. So today, I'm going straight to the point. um, I want to know what makes you a resilient person. Can you share with us an experience, a story, something that has happened in your life that you had to overcome that was like really, what do I call it? Like hard,
Mhm.
and now you overcame and now you're here. Can you talk to us about that?
Thank you very much, and it's a privilege to be here. And I would like to start by saying this: there's a saying that goes this way: "Say what doesn't kill you makes you strong
Stronger. Yes.
and stronger."
Mm-hmm.
So I know we've all passed through different things at different stages of our lives, and I have passed through a lot, so many. But let me see if I just talk about one or two. I was born into a middle class family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were not rich, but we were not like poor either.
Mm-hmm.
We were just
Just there.
just enough, just well to do.
Uh-huh.
And then at a point, suddenly my dad was retired. You know, he never expected a retirement, and things started going downhill little by little.
Mm-hmm.
His car was involved in an accident, which he was carrying me to school. I have a mark here. I was sitting between the seats. So when he suddenly pressed the brake did not respond, and I went flying and I hit my face on the dashboard.
Wow.
So the mark is still here. This mark that is here.
Did you become unconscious?
No, I wasn't. I was bleeding. Yes.
And your father?
He was okay. But what happened is that car was from there was unrepairable, and he had to sell it at the end. Things just started going downhill. I remember from my second year in high school, because my first year I was in a boarding school. In the second year, I was now going from home in a different school. I used to trek to school. So I used to walk about 10 kilometers to school every morning and walk the same distance back after school.
But that means you had to wake up really early to go to school if you had to walk that long distance.
By 4:35, I was up.
But this is, let me try to understand. Sorry, you were telling us about that your father had an early retirement because of a car crash.
No, the retirement came. In fact, he was on vacation, and before his vacation was over, he got a letter that he was retired. So which means that someone that was stepping in, or his boss, suddenly retired him without him knowing. He wasn't supposed to be retired without his consent.
But was he old enough to retire?
No, he still had some years to work. So that destabilized everything, destabilized him, destabilized the family. But we were still managing, and like I said, he got sick after. For 2 years, he was sick, bedridden, couldn't stand up, couldn't turn. And we had to take him everywhere, hospitals, churches, everywhere. Nothing. And my sister, one of my elder sisters, dedicated her life completely to taking care of him. Meanwhile, we were still struggling and trying to see how we can raise funds. And we used to go to the farm with my mom, to plant things and harvest and sell. And when we harvest the farm product, we will take them to hawk on the street.
Like to sell.
Yes, we put the product, for example, corn or vegetable leaves, put them in trays, myself and my younger sister, and we just go out on the street, walking street by street, hawking and selling. I wasn't a best seller, but my younger sister, yes. In a few minutes, she will finish selling and she will go home. Meanwhile, I will be still walking and going round and around the streets.
You weren't a good salesperson.
No.
But how did you, I'm wondering, like you're telling us that you used to walk to school, you had to go to school. So where did you find time to do the selling and the harvesting and all of that? It seems like a lot.
Mostly on weekends, almost every weekend.
Okay.
After school on Fridays, Saturday mornings, that was the day we go to sell.
So could you tell us more or less how old you were when you had to when your father got sick and you started, selling on the streets and stuff?
I think he got sick when I was in third year. I could have been 11 to like about 13, 14 years old at that time.
Oh, still very young.
And at the point, after going round, he was brought to a clinic close in the same city that we were living. And I had to wake up in the morning, early in the morning, like about very early, like 5, go walking like almost 20 kilometers to take breakfast to him and stay with him a few minutes and then walk back to school from there, almost the same distance, 20 kilometers. Wow. And walk back after school about 10 kilometers. It wasn't easy.
But, excuse me, we know that the car that you had, he had to sell it by parts and whatever after the accident. So why didn't you just take maybe public transportation or a cab or something instead of having to walk those long distances?
Yes, there were public transportations, but where was the money?
Oh God.
Where was the money? It's easier said than done. The little money that was available went into feeding and into paying school fees and buying, school items, books. So the part that we could play was to walk to school.
So this was only you and your sister. How many were you?
Yes. At that time we were 9. I'm saying at that time because many years after we lost one of my elder sister.
Okay. I
wouldn't say lost. She left us. We were 9, and I'm number 7. And I have a younger sister. Okay. So you can imagine the rest are bigger. So most of them had to fend for themselves. They had to study. They had to work and study. And one of my eldest brother had to take care of one of my elder sister. And the elder sister that went to be with the Lord, she had to work and study. It was everyone had to do something. But one thing we did not stop doing was studying and going to school.
Okay, and that's what you're saying is very interesting, especially because nowadays, for the most part, a lot of children, when you tell them about going to school, for them it's like a burden, like, oh, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to do this. And for some people, when they have to take the public transportation, let's say to go to work, they are complaining because, oh, I don't want to, I want a car or whatever. But one thing is that we always have to be so grateful for what we do have, because there's always someone that doesn't have that much. Because right now you might be taking the public transportation to go to work or to school or whatever, but you could be walking. So we thank God also for that opportunity, because even though we know that there are many benefits for walking, it's not the same where you say, I'm going to walk to, exercise, then you have to walk, whether you like it or
have no
not.
option.
And whether it's raining, whether it's sunny, whatever the weather, you have to do it.
Yeah.
So that is very like interesting. We take so many things for granted. We just, and there's so many people, because this is part of your story as you were growing up. But currently, I know that there are people in different places of the globe that are passing through this situation, or even worse. Here in the American continent, we tend to have a lot of you would say, like, prosperity to a certain point, because even
well-to-do.
wealth. There are a lot of people that are still in poverty or extreme poverty, but for the most part, people are wealthy. They have their internet, they have their cable, they have their many commodities and certain things that makes life easier. And one of the things that we have to, as I mentioned before, always have in mind, is to be grateful for what we do have, and not to fall in that complaining part.
Yes, just to say something there. I know, I see some people, they complain they don't want to go to school because it's a new school year and they don't have a new shoe. It's a new school year, I don't have a new uniform. I know we have to respect different cultures. Cultures are different, but there are I don't remember buying new uniform every year, or new shoes every year. I use the same uniform for 2-3 years until whenever I could buy a new one. Maybe when I outgrow it and there's no other option but to get another one. But as long as it fit, that was my uniform. And my school uniform was white shirt and white short or white trouser. When I got to the senior level, it was a trouser.
You put it in the washing machine?
Washing machine. In Nigeria, we say, who dash monkey banana?
Explain that.
Who dash monkey banana is like saying, who give you that comfort? Who dash you? Who donated that to you?
So you didn't have a washing machine?
Never.
So how did you wash?
Wash by hand, Papa.
Are you washed, or your mother?
I washed. Each of us, we had to wash. You wash your clothes. I wash my clothes. I wash the clothes of the house of my family, my brothers, sisters. Like whenever it's time to wash, you want to wash, everyone will bring their clothes. Yes, so we had to.
We're laughing because we were having some technical difficulties, sometimes. Technology. Continue, please.
Yeah, and you had to wash clothes for everybody. And I want to say something here, and not to encourage each and every one of us, that your present situation does not tell your future. What I'm trying to say is that what you're passing through right now doesn't mean that's how it's going to be in the future, or you're going to keep having that same situation. No condition is permanent. They say. Your condition today will change for the better tomorrow. Just be resilient.
Amen. And just to round up, we started talking about your father being ill and how difficult it became for you, especially in the financial part. Not even to talk, I know being concerned with your father emotionally must have been very hard too. But I want to know, at the end, how did you overcome the situation? What happened with your dad? How did you get to this point?
Well, it's a long story, but I'm going to try to make it very brief as much as I can. It got to a point that after doing everything for my dad, taking him everywhere, there was no help, no improvement. We had to bring him back home, which was the last resort. It was like sending him home to
die.
So he came home and we were taking care of him. And then I remember, I was home that day. Remember, one day someone came to and knocked on the door, a stranger, at least a stranger to me. We opened the door and he stepped in and said, God sent me to this house to pray for somebody.
Amen.
And he came in, laid his hand on my dad, prayed, took his Bible, and walked away. Never met him again, never saw him again, don't know who he was. And I tell you, from that moment, from that day, my dad's health began to change. Improved daily until he stood up from that bed and was completely healed. That's the testimony. So that is how that happened. And we being resilient, not giving up in our studies, because we would have said, sometimes I go to school without breakfast, no food. I just drink water and I have to walk about 10 kilometers. I go to school. I would have said, no, the suffering is too much. I can't go to school. I'm hungry. I wouldn't eat. No. But when you have your eye on something, when you have an expectation and a hope, that makes you to be resilient for what you're passing through, and that tomorrow will bring testimony. That is one of the testimonies you are listening to right now.
Amen. Thank you so much for sharing that. And definitely, I know there's so much more to your story. I know it because I'm his wife, of course. But definitely, as I said in the beginning, sometimes you see people in a current situation, you don't know what they have been through. And definitely to get to a point of resilience, you need to make changes in your mentality as well. Because like you said, you could stay there as a victim all the time and say, well, I don't have this, I don't have transport, I don't have, and I don't, and I don't, and I don't, and just limit yourself. And it comes to a point that you give up. But what will make you resilient is transforming your mentality from a victim to a victor. And in this case, also holding on to the word of God and his promises, because I know that holding on to God's promises got you very far in life, as a matter of fact, to where you are at this point. Maybe at that moment, being such a young child, I know that you had your moments that you're like, what am I going to do? This is not going to work. But with time and renewing your mind with the word of the Lord, you became resilient. You fell, but you stood up back again, knowing, like you said before, that there's hope, that things will change. And just like I always say, and part of my book, Resilient Born to Survive, it says that you're more stronger than what you think you are. And whatever you're passing through, it will pass. And my mom always say it will pass, maybe like a kidney stone, but it will pass. Very painful experience, but it will pass. And talking about books, we can't leave this program without mentioning that Pastor Ben, my husband, is also an author. And he has some books that he would love to share with us today that will also help you in this resilient walk. Would you mind sharing your books with us, please?
Sure. Well, this is the first book I wrote. It's titled The Evil Tree in Man, Revealing Satan's Tactics. You can find it online in Amazon. And if you're here in Panama, you find it in bookshops. And I have two other journals. I have copies in Spanish, but they're also in English, also online. In English, the title for this one is My Warfare Prayer Journal.
My Warfare Prayer Journal.
And the title for this one in English is My Healing Prayer Journal.
My Healing Prayer Journal. You're going to see the description of the book right there in the video in the corner. And we can get all these books in Amazon, right?
Yes, in Amazon. It's to help you in your daily work.
Okay. And I know that The Evil Tree in Man is something that you can get the ebook as well if you have Kindle. and it's really going to be a blessing to your life. And congratulations for your books. As we said,
Thank you.
they're in English and in Spanish as well. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your story with us. Just so glad that you have gotten to this point in life where, regardless of the difficulties, you always, stand up, you're resilient. Thank you for sharing, as I said, this testimony. And I really pray that it inspire and motivates you guys that are listening and that are watching the video. Don't give up. Things are going to get better. Don't lose your faith. God is real. And thank you so much for being with us today in Resilient People. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.